Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Shana Sino, and I'm really happy that you can join us live. So we are streaming live in my Facebook page, in my YouTube channel, and also in the Unapologetic Tribe official Facebook group. Tonight or today is a really special day because I have a special guest. He will join us all the way from the US, but he's a Filipino. He's a good friend of mine, and we'll talk about unapologetic business. So if you're tuning in right now, if you're listening right now, watching this live, please say hi in the comments and let us know where you are tuning in from so we can greet you. And also, if this is your first time to visit my channel or my page, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Sha Nasino TV. This is where I post more videos on gratitude and self-growth. All right, so let me introduce our guest for tonight. He is an international speaker and trainer whose irreverent style has helped countless of people transform their lives. His signature for transformation is the Phoenix phenomenon, where one must identify what needs to be destroyed before one rebuilds. He has spoken in countries like the UK, Malaysia, China, Singapore, Australia, the Philippines, and New Zealand. He is a 17-year advertising veteran who worked in Barcelona, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Manila, and now lives and works in Boston, USA. He is the CEO and co-founder of Skills Simplified, an e-learning company. He loves innovation and creativity and speaks extensively about this. He is also an avid traveler who misses being in the road these days because of COVID, but hopes to get the chance when life returns back to normal. He is also an author of two books, Unapologetic and WTF, a guide to creative ideation. I'm so pleased to welcome to this live my good friend, Francis Miranda. Hi, Francis.
Hello, hello. Good evening to you guys in the Philippines. Good morning to everyone watching here in the United States.
Yes, by the way, special shout out, of course, and I honor Francis for waking up so early. It's 6 a.m. where he is from.
The sun
Thank
isn't
you,
even
Francis.
out yet.
Yes. Well, in fairness, you don't look like you just woke up.
Well, that's not. The secret is Asian genes, something we're very proud of. Asian genes.
Yes, of course. And let's just greet those who are watching right now live. Jaja Publico. Hi, Jaja. Bongo. Hello,
Hello.
good evening from Leyte. Thank you, Bong.
Wow.
Jaja is watching from Laguna. So thank you. Again, if you're tuning in live right now, please say hi. And if you have any questions, write them in the comment section and I'll do my best to ask Francis and let Francis answer it for you. Okay, so Francis, what are you most grateful for right now?
What am I most grateful for? You know what? I'm very, very grateful for the fact that my family and my friends are all still healthy. You know, this pandemic has been it's been very, very scary. It's been very, very trying. And, you know, I'm just grateful at the fact that so far, well, one of my family members got affected by the pandemic. My brother, he got
Oh,
infected at the beginning of the pandemic because he's a paramedic, but he's okay now.
right. Good to know that.
So those are the things I guess you're grateful for, because when you suddenly realize that life is uncertain and it's really then there's a real chance that something bad can happen. You're very grateful when things we're grateful for the small things, the things that you take for granted. The idea that your family is still there. So for that, I'm grateful.
Right. Also, just want to add, just a while ago before our interview, I did my workout and I'm so grateful that I did my workout because I
Yes.
don't get to do it every day. So during the days that I get to do it, I feel so proud of myself.
And I'm sure you're very energetic right now because that's what working out does.
Yes, exactly. I do my workout maybe 3 to 5 times a week, but I try to do it every day. So thank you, Francis. Francis, I'm really curious about the Phoenix phenomenon,
Uh-huh.
wherein one needs to be wherein you identify what needs to be destroyed first before one rebuilds. So we're in the pandemic, we're experiencing the global pandemic right now. How do you think the Phoenix phenomenon is relevant to what we are experiencing right now?
I think it is very, very relevant because when you think about the need for innovation, right? We always think about rebuilding, we always think about reinventing ourselves. But many people, they jump into this process of rebuilding and reinventing themselves without first going into what are the things that no longer work. So it's important, I believe, for us before we even undertake any journey, for us to change something, whether it's in ourselves, in our businesses, or whatnot. Before we even undertake the journey, we have to identify first and take a step back. What's no longer working for us? Because sometimes we attempt to build on a structure that the foundation has already been weakened, and we try to remodel the house. When in reality, our job is actually to tear down the house first before you rebuild with something new, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
pandemic became such an eye opener for many, many people because let's face it, one of the things that happened during this pandemic, many people lost so many things. They lost their businesses, they lost their jobs, right? And in the face of that devastation that the pandemic brought about, people now suddenly took a look back. A lot of people took a look back and saw that, you know what, the old life that they used to live apparently doesn't work for them anymore. I remember at the beginning of this year, it's 2020, right? I remember
Right.
I remember January 1, right? And you and I, we post a lot of inspirational stuff because it's what we do every day, right? And I remember my post around that time in the first few days of the year was going to be about how 2020 is the year for clear vision, for 2020 vision, right? Like perfect
Right.
vision. And then voila, 2020 kicked us in the ass, right? And suddenly our entire world got turned upside down. But now in retrospect again, now that we're ending the year, right? 2020 was in fact a year of clear visions for all of us because suddenly
Mm-hmm.
it stripped us of everything that was apparently that we thought was essential, but in reality we're no longer essential. So in a way, 2020 destroyed so many things, and some of the things that it destroyed, it's very dear and precious to us. But at the same time, some of these things that it destroyed, we realized that, we can live our lives without it, that our businesses can't do without it. And
Mm-hmm.
the devastation brought about by that on the business side of things, because I do a lot of business consultation, I do a lot of business coaching, I do a lot of business speaking, and the side effect of that is that companies have learned to realize what are the products and services that no longer work for them, and get rid of them and reinvent new ones. It was also
Right.
an opportunity to look at their processes, the policies that they have in place, and see what are the policies that no longer work, that are antiquated, that you need to get rid of. It was so funny because as you know, I'm a partner in an ad agency there in the Philippines, even up to now, right? And I was there in Manila last February, so it was my first time to go home in a long time, right, in over a year. And I remember prior to me coming home, one of the things that I admire about our ad agency in each place is very open-minded. So prior to me going home, me and the board of directors, we were talking, and one of the things that we were discussing was the possibility of shifting our entire operations to a work from home arrangement. And it's
Mm-hmm.
before the pandemic, huh? Because we felt that, as an ad agency, a lot of the work that we do, it can be done through Zoom, like Zoom calls like this. I mean, case
Right.
in point, I'm the executive creative director, but I present stuff from New York. I was living in New York at the time, right? And I do my job while I'm in another continent. So
Mm-hmm.
with Manila, with the horrendous traffic that we face in Manila every day, it doesn't make sense for our people to commute 3 hours, 4 hours a day, to waste that mental energy being stuck in traffic when we can just do the simple thing of relinquish control and decide to trust our people and allow them to work from home. So when I went home in February, that's when we announced it, and voila, suddenly the pandemic
Wow.
started. But then by then, our people was already used to working from home because we've been doing it in an unofficial capacity, which we just made it into a policy. That
Wow.
antiquated way of doing things, the idea that you need to be physically together. Why? Because you need to monitor your team to make sure your team is doing things. But it's very simple. We hired you. We should at least trust you to be responsible enough to do
That's
the job,
correct.
right? So,
Mhm.
so that's what I mean by the Phoenix phenomenon. Just like the Phoenix, as things are destroyed, you rebuild things into something even better, something even more powerful. It's an endless cycle of destruction and reinvention. And
Yeah.
innovation isn't just building. There's also a
Mhm.
conscious decision to destroy certain things, meaning things that no longer work. And that's essentially what the Phoenix phenomenon is. So there. So I hope I was able to explain it as clearly as I could.
Yes, definitely. So, Francis, what were your initial plans in 2020 and how did that change because of the pandemic?
Oh well, it's 2020. I was going to really build a public speaking career here in the United States because a lot of the stuff that I did, I was traveling. Um, I was doing these small seminars, but I really wanted to position myself as a keynote speaker in 2020. So in fact, I remember when the pandemic was starting to gain steam here in the United States. That was around March. I was so happy about March because when I looked at my calendar at March, there was no every single day in March, without exaggeration, from Monday to Friday,
Wow.
the weekends, like, I had a booking. I had like a speaking gig, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh my gosh, wow, my career is starting to take off here. I'm so happy. Then mid March, Corona started to spread. Then I got word that all my gigs were canceled, so my
Mhm.
calendar got wiped clean. And for a speaker like you and me, if we're not speaking, there's no money coming in, right? So I had to figure out, okay, what is it that I need to do? I'm a starting out speaker here because I just moved here to the United States. So I immediately had to learn to pivot. I had to let go of my want and desire to speak to a live audience, which is what I love doing. Because I'm sure you agree with me. It's
Yes,
different to speak in front of a live audience. You also get the energy from them, right? And it's nice to see
right.
the reactions to people as you're speaking to them, as you're helping them, as you're serving them, right? And I had to pivot to that, to a completely online experience, which means I had to learn all these tools. I had to learn StreamYard. I had to master Zoom. I had to master the tools of, getting people and putting them into like little breakout rooms and stuff like that. So, so that's, I know, that's part of the learning that I had to do to pivot my business. And one of the things I always share to people is that I hated this pandemic, but I must acknowledge that it has brought about as well certain blessings. And the entire summer months, which means from April, May, June, July, August, September. Oh my gosh, I was actually earning much, much more than what I used to earn being on the road, because it dawned on me that on the online sphere, I can have 2 to 3 to 4 talks in a day, where
Yes.
if I'm on the road, I can only do one a day because I travel from one city to another. So I have to fly to one city to another, right? So
Right.
so there. So there are the best. So that's how my plans completely changed. And now, the funny thing is they're still changing and evolving. So right now, I recently hired an entire marketing team, an entire web development team there in the Philippines, and I hired a marketing team here in California, in the West Coast, and we're now starting to push myself as a speaker here in the United States, as a keynote speaker, as a virtual keynote speaker, as in really actively promoting yourself, as opposed to just accepting gigs that come here and there. This time we're really
Right.
building a powerful brand, because now I believe that I have enough experience in the United States to be able to do that. And I've now started to get my booking. So my first booking is happening for a keynote this December. So it's my first big booking as a keynote speaker in a company here in the United States. And and that's what's very interesting about this.
Yes.
I talk about
Very
the Phoenix
exciting.
phenomenon. I talk about the Phoenix phenomenon as a speaking topic, but in reality, it's been applied to my life so many times, not just this year,
Yes.
but throughout my entire life. So,
Right, right. Oh, by the way, for the benefit of our listeners right now, so I know Francis because aside from the fact that he has been my friend for a couple of years now, we're also part of a mastermind group, and we meet every month. So in our mastermind group, we share things that are happening in our lives, And we also share things that we don't normally share in public.
Yeah. Our
Because
vulnerabilities.
yes, so because these are our vulnerabilities. So, if you have a mastermind group, if you have people that you meet on a regular basis, that's really good. I really encourage you to do that. So, Francis, let's just greet
Yeah.
again people who are watching right now. So, Doris says hello. Doris is one of the graduates of the 90-day book writing challenge. And then Fe Margaret Wazon, hello from Laguna. Paul Joseph is watching from Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Jean Lim says hi. Baraka, good evening from South India. Wow, we have non-Filipino speakers. Thank you, Baraka, for tuning in. Leo from the Aurora province. So thank you for watching. And then Marvi from Batangas. And also, if you're not yet following Francis, he has a Facebook page. So we'll flash the Facebook page of Francis later. And please follow her.
Yeah.
So my team, who's working in the background, will flash the Facebook page of Francis later. And you may also follow me on Instagram and on YouTube. Please subscribe. Thank you for that. So, Francis, one of the things that you said was before we begin to rebuild, we need to clear the ground for fresher ideas.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so what do you mean by that?
So, like what I said earlier, sometimes we're nostalgic people. By nature we want to hoard things, we want to keep things, right? So part of the things that we want to keep are sometimes the old ways of doing things, the old ways of behaving, and that's why change is such a difficult thing for us as human beings, right? So in our attempt to keep on certain things, sometimes when we rebuild, we try to rebuild on a bad foundation. It's like you have a rickety house and you want to create something new. So you build like a shell around that rickety house without addressing the innards of the house, the foundations of the house. So in
Mhm.
essence, you have a nice shiny structure on the outside, but deep inside it's like rotting and decrepit, right? Maybe the objective isn't really to renovate the house. Maybe the objective first and foremost is to really tear down all of those old structures and rebuild.
Mhm.
I still have a house there in the Philippines, right? And me and my siblings, we were like discussing, okay, what are we gonna do with it? Are we gonna renovate this house? Or then I was telling them, I think it's not worth it to renovate the house anymore. The house has already outlived its value. So maybe what we should be doing is we should be tearing down this house and really building something new. And that's exactly what we're planning right now. We want to really get rid of the house, not because it's hopeless, but because it's too much. It's much more effort to try to retrofit a good idea on an old one. You know,
Right.
so sometimes the best thing to do is really to take a conscious decision to raise the ground, to really destroy everything, so that you have a good clean slate to be able to rebuild again. And I tell you, that's easier said than done, because like what I said,
Yeah, it
we
can be
tend
very
to hold
painful.
on. We tend to hold on, and
Yeah.
like my like what I always tell people, what I really admire, what my favorite patron saint always says, Saint Elsa. She always says, "Let it go. You have to let go of old things."
So
And
thank you for that information, Francis. I didn't know that Elsa is now a saint, so now we know.
now we know.
Francis beatified her.
Yeah, and Saint Elsa also tells us one important thing: to never be afraid to go into the unknown.
Yes. Yes, I think it's like learning badminton. It's easier to teach someone who doesn't know anything about badminton because if you know a bit about badminton, you need to unlearn first what you
Yeah,
know so that you will learn the right thing that you needed to do. And like what you said, Francis, it's not easy to tear down what has been there because we tend to hold on. But one of the things I remember from my mentor, Brian Tracy, from one of his books, he said this: no matter how far you've gone, if you are going to the wrong direction, turn back.
yes,
And I remember that happened when I invested a huge amount of money for this program, but I really felt iffy. I felt uncomfortable with the mentor, and I felt like if I turn back, that's money down the drain. But after I read that, it really made sense. So I just want to connect that with what you said about tear down instead of sometimes renovating, like in the case of your house.
yeah. And that's also a sign that sometimes dogged perseverance is not necessarily the best solution, right? Because
Mhm.
yeah, we're driven people, right? So when we decide to go on something, we really go all in, right? But in the process of going through that, right, it's also possible for us to realize that we made a mistake,
Right.
and part of our growth as human beings comes in our humility to admit that we made a mistake and really flush down that investment, flush it down the toilet. But then when you think about it, flushing down a bad investment in the toilet is actually a good investment in the end, because it's not taking up your time, which is your true most important investment. So there. So you're right about that. I love that saying where, you walked a million miles, but if it's in the wrong direction, turn around,
Yes. It's difficult, but it's the right thing to do. So sometimes we hear a lot of motivational speakers say winners don't quit. So what can you say about that, Francis?
Well, just like we always say winners don't quit, we also have another saying, which is winners know when to quit,
Yes.
so that you can start something new and better.
Yep.
There's a discernment that comes there. Doesn't mean that, not every act of quitting is a failure. If you quit a bad relationship, if you quit a bad company that you're working in, right, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, sometimes we get ourselves into predicaments because precisely we don't know when to quit, especially when something is already harmful for us, when already something is bad for us. I have a personal story to share. So
Yes.
so my doctor put her foot down to me because I've been very neglectful of my health in relation to my eating habits, because I want to focus more on my career, right? So she was like saying, okay, your stress levels are on an all-time high, which means that there's an imbalance. So you've got to learn to slow down and stop this, because otherwise, how will you be able to inspire other people if you yourself are your body breaks down and your mind
Mhm.
breaks down? So you've got to take care of that as well. That has to
Right.
be a decision on your end, which means that you have to remove the workaholism from your life and to go back into the balance component. And because I'm in the stage in my life where I'm building my career here and it's picking up steam, so I entered again into this mindset where talagang really I just do stuff, and sometimes my clock has already become very, very erratic, right? So there are moments when, because I still deal with clients there in the Philippines, there are moments I have to wake up at like 2 a.m. because I have a 2 p.m. presentation there. Yeah.
Whoa.
So those are the things that I'm now starting to quit, in quotation mark, just so that I have a healthier life.
So what are your self-care habits that you do on a daily basis?
So I've started to meditate. So
Mhm.
that's something that's very, very important. I have doctor's orders to meditate for 20 minutes a day. So it's kind of hard to be still for 20 minutes because you know me, I'm Mr. Not Still. So it's rather hard to do that. I also work out, so I have a Peloton bike, which is like a stationary bike, and I also have an app on my TV which allows me to choose different workouts. So it's like having a gym and your own instructors at home. So I work out like just like you, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. I'm now more conscious about the things that I eat. So I have a calorie counter. I try to eat more vegetables. I've rediscovered part of my self care is to learn cooking. So I've rediscovered the art of cooking. I've invested in cooking implements, and I've invested in this service which delivers recipes and the ingredients. So every night there's something new to try out. These are small things that I'm using to help me in my self care. And of course, there's the trying to get enough sleep, which is
Right.
very, very important as well. And going out to nature. Like every weekend, me and my friend, we like going out to look at nature. So we always plan a trip. If it's not too cold, we plan a road trip just to go to nice towns where there are nice forests and stuff like that. Just to get away from this pandemic as well.
Yeah, nature really heals. That's why during this pandemic, a lot of people have become plantitos and plantitas.
Yeah.
We cannot really go out, so we missed nature so much. So we bring nature home.
Well, the only plants I have at home are succulents because they're the low maintenance plants. You water them and then you just ask Alexa to remind you in 3 weeks to water them again.
We really have
That's
our.
how I like it.
Oh, okay. I have around 200 plants now.
Oh my gosh, I only have like 3 succulents and a basil plant, a herb, and a couple of herbs. And I'm already the herbs for cooking. You need to water them every day, so I'm already
Yeah,
happy by that. So I said, okay, I don't think I'm cut out to be a plant tito. So I'll just be a succulent tito.
succulent tito. I like that. Okay, so Francis, you're known for the word unapologetic.
Mhm.
Okay, so can you expound what you mean by unapologetic and how and when should we be unapologetic?
Well, that's a very good question. I grew up in the Philippines, and in Asian cultures like ours, there's a big weight put upon the opinions of other people. We're always operating under the opinions of other people. We try to do things in order for us to please other people. Asians were notorious people pleasers. We try our best to be liked, right? And one thing I've noticed is that because of this desire to be liked, we sometimes have this tendency to allow other people's opinions shape our own destiny, which means there
Mm,
are certain things that we want to do, certain things that certain dreams that we want that we're afraid to even articulate and express because we're afraid of one simple thing. We're afraid to be judged.
right.
And in the Philippines, we've witnessed this that if you have very big dreams, we're generally told not to share them because
Mhm.
what happens is that if we do, people will think that we're proud or mayabang. And we make apologies then. If there's something that we want, imagine this. This is such a Filipino. I'm sure you've encountered this yourself. We make apologies for just being honest and telling people what it is that we want. We say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't want to go there. Oh, I'm sorry, but I want to eat this. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but this is what I want." But I don't see why do we need to keep apologizing for things like that. That for me is the definition of unapologetic. It's
Yeah.
not saying sorry when you've done something wrong. It's not that.
Mhm.
It's not this obstinate idea that I'm never gonna apologize because it's gonna make me look weak. No. Unapologetic simply means we stop apologizing for being clear about what it is that we want out of life.
Yep.
And
And for being who you are.
or being who you are. Yeah, because let's face it, right? What is the point of pleasing a crowd when you can't be happy with yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of pointless, diba? And this is one of the things we realize with this pandemic is that life is short and unpredictable. You know, as sad as it is to say, many people started 2020 with no expectation that 2021 they weren't going to be there anymore. You know,
Mhm. Right.
so it's that realization, and more people are beginning to realize that we have to really stand up as well for what it is that we want. And again, as long as what we want doesn't hurt other people, then by all means, go for it. You wanna. I know. I've had a doctor friend who quit his medicine
Mhm.
because he wanted to pursue a different path. And when I was counseling him, you know, there were so many things that were going through his mind. The idea that people were going to judge him as why
Mhm.
did he leave medicine? There must have been something wrong. But I told him, Are you happy practicing the medicine right now? And no, I'm not. I'm not happy doing this. And my heart is in really is in entrepreneurship. I wanna build my own company. But then
Mhm.
there's also this idea that I've already spent so many years
Right.
in medicine, which is exactly the analogy you mentioned, right?
Yeah. From Brian Tracy.
If
Mhm.
he was in the wrong direction, then why continue eking it out? And I told him this one simple thing. Do you think you have more years ahead of you than more years behind you? So
Right.
definitely, I mean, I'm not old. I still have many more years ahead of me. So changing your direction in life right now, would you rather give up all those years ahead of you in exchange for the few years that are behind you? And that's
That's
what
very good. Hmm.
okay, that's right. No, maybe this is no. And I've also
Yeah.
it's so funny because that same analogy I've also used it to counsel relationships,
Yes.
in horrible relationships. The idea that parang, oh, but he's been my boyfriend for X number of years. Oh, but we've been together for X. She's been my girlfriend for X number of years. And it's the same mindset, right? Okay, how many years are left in your life? Versus
Right.
how many years are still for you? If you've not yet married the person, right? You still can change your mind.
Yes.
Because it's harder to change your mind when you've tied the knot, you know.
Right. I think one of the reasons why most of us are uncomfortable to let go is because it's really difficult to let go.
Oh yeah.
So, for example, relationships, Francis. So, this girl and boy have been together for maybe 7 years or 10 years, but you clearly know that you're not meant for each other. But it's so hard for you to let go. So, what is your advice for people who logically they needed to let go, but they're too weak to let go?
Well, you know, it starts off first with acknowledging how much your self-worth is, because I think the inability to let go is tied up also with a sense of self-worth, the idea that you peg your worth to what is it, that one thing that you refuse to let go of. And that's it eh. When we tie our worth to that one thing that we refuse to let go of, then that's the reason why it's difficult, because in our minds we think that that relationship, that job, that title, that plan, that's what defines us. But in reality, that's not really what defines us. What defines us is our own self.
Right.
What is it that we want out of life, right? By allowing other things to define us, that's when these things also have power over us. You want to let go of it, you've got to see yourself for what you are, a powerful individual capable of making your own decisions and capable of shaping your own destiny. It may not feel like that right now, right? And it may feel like you are not the strongest person. It may feel like you are such a weak person at the moment. But trust me, you have hidden reserves of strength within you. I have seen this in the most unexpected people, people who have had so much self doubt that they did not see their worth. And I have seen them. I've worked with them. I have mentored them. I've coached them to discover that self worth of theirs, right? And the reason why I think I'm able to help other people do this is not because I'm perfect myself. It's because I've encountered those same struggles myself. The reason why
Oh,
I think is very close to my heart is really it springs from my own personal truth. It's not that, from day one I was unapologetic as a person. No. From day one I was very apologetic as a person. I was very afraid to express who I was, to talk about what it is that I wanted out of life. I was afraid to tell people that because I was afraid of offending people. And then I realized that I had to let go of that. I had to let go of the expectations of other people for me and do the thing that it is that you wanted out of life. And why unapologetic? So there it came from this idea that I was apologetic about articulating my dreams. I
mm,
remember one of our close friends, J. Paul Hernandez, so in our
uh-huh.
one of our good friends, right?
Yes.
So he was key to me going through this mental journey towards unapologetic when he asked me, what was my biggest dreams at the time.
Mhm.
And I told him my biggest dreams were to be, a Filipino speaker of the caliber of Bo Sanchez and an international speaker of the caliber of Tony Robbins, right?
Mm.
But I was telling him that it's so empowering, and there's such great relief in being able to say this, because at that, J. Paul and I, we were in our mastermind group as well.
Right.
So it was like a safe space, and I articulated it, and I told him, it feels so good to actually say it. And he asked me, why have you not said it? And I said, well, I never talked to anyone about this in this way openly, that I want to be a
Mhm.
speaker like Bo Sanchez or like Tony Robbins. Because at the time I was scared that people were gonna judge me as ang yabang naman ito. This guy's so proud. Who the hell are you to aspire for that, right? And then J. Paul was one who told me that why are you ashamed of your dreams? Because that's a dream of yours. That's just being honest. You're just being honest with you.
Wow.
And that
Mm-hmm.
for me was very powerful. And a couple of months later, Greatest Showman came out, and then there's one song there called
This is me.
Me. Oh my God,
This
that
is
became like
me.
my anthem song that year.
Uh-huh.
And that became my anthem song, especially the lines that I make no apologies. This is me.
Oh, uh-huh.
And that connected so much because at that time I already decided my brand was going to be Unapologetic Dude. And this song came out. And I said, oh
Wow.
my gosh, I could not have asked for a perfect anthem song, right?
Yes.
And that song was precisely everything that Unapologetic was all about, which was really people were judging you for who you were.
Mm-hmm.
But now is the time to not be afraid of that. Now is the time to learn to let go of the preconceived notions of other people. And
So
this
aside from Saint,
you
yeah. So aside from Saint Elsa, the the
Saint Bearded
ceremony.
Lady, Bearded Saint Kiala, Kiala pala to.
Wow, wow. So I can just imagine, Francis, that you really soared after that because you
Oh yeah,
felt free. You felt free to be yourself and to really express your thoughts and your ideas.
yes. And
Mhm.
one of the things I always tell people who want to embrace an unapologetic journey is that you have to be prepared not to be liked by everyone, and that's the reality of life anyway. You know,
Oh yes.
I'm sure Sha, as likable and as nice as you are, I'm sure there are people who hate you, just like there are people who hate me. Because let's face it, we're not designed to be liked by everyone.
Right.
Anything that we say or do will always there will always be somebody there who will hate us, right? If the Pope is Pope John Paul II, there will be people who hate him. If the Pope is Benedict, there will be people who hate him. If the Pope is Francis, there will be people who hate him. You just can't please everyone. No? So just stop attempting to do that.
That's correct. Because remember, even the most perfect person was hated.
Oh yeah,
Jesus. So
yeah.
he's there.
And hated
Jesus,
to the point that he was murdered. He was killed,
right? What more for us who are imperfect and who make mistakes? You
Exactly.
know? So it's okay that not everyone will like you. It's okay. We just need to accept that, especially in social media these days, right?
Yeah.
We want to be liked. We want to be affirmed. But like what you said about self worth, when you know your self worth, you don't depend on the number of likes. You don't depend
Yeah.
on people to like you for you to like yourself. You can decide to like yourself regardless whether other people will like you or not.
And like again, another greatest showman talk, another greatest
Mm.
showman quote, right? You don't need the entire world to love you, just a few good ones. Diba?
Can you sing that line, Francis?
No, that wasn't a line. That wasn't a song. That was a line that
Oh, that's so amazing.
the wife told him because he was like so
Oh,
obsessed with fame and glory, right?
uh-huh.
At the cost of neglecting his own family, right? And the wife told him that very powerful lie that you don't need the world to love you, you just need a few good ones, right? And
Right.
and sometimes we won't be able to help the entire world, and that's okay. Maybe you're only going to be able to help one person, but if you're able to transform the life of just one person, then that's worth it. You know,
Yes. There's a compounding effect.
yeah.
Right?
It's like a ripple. It starts off
Yep.
with it starts off small and it starts to grow and expand.
Exactly. So to all those who are watching right now, it is so important also to choose your friends, choose your
Mm.
circle, because they can make or break you. So like what Francis shared. So he had a good friend, J. Paul, and J. Paul was able to help him unleash the real Francis, the unapologetic Francis. So, so to those who are watching right now, let us know. Do you have a group of people that you meet on a regular basis, like a mastermind, group of like-minded? If you don't have yet, form one because it is so important. And also, let me just greet those who are watching. So via YouTube, allow me to be harsh. My life started without you. Omeng said, hello, Sha and Francis. Glad to be able to join tonight. Thank you, Omeng. Ifern, blessed evening, Miss Sha. Again, Saint Elsa. Robert Villasin said, good evening. Bongo said, hello, Sir Francis. Thank you. Again, you may follow Francis in these pages, links. Just click the links in the description to be able to follow Francis.
Yeah.
And also,
Do join the group because the group is where we have a lot of content. So,
yes,
and like with what Shaz mentioned, you gotta find a similar group of people. So for those of you who are struggling to find your unapologetic voice, do join the Facebook group because there are a lot of people there who are also undergoing the same journey, and we kind of support one another on this, right? In fact, some of the members I've already seen them commenting in our chat.
nice. Yes, and you can have conversations inside the group. So
Yeah.
that's what's good about the group. You can have conversations. You can build a community. So that's your that can be your virtual community.
I love it, yeah, and I love how people have been very supportive to one another. So it's really an opportunity to celebrate big wins and small wins, and people are just so honest and supportive, and that's the type of group that we wanted.
Right. That is so important. And also, I have a favor to ask. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and let me know once you've subscribed. Maybe we can have a gift for you, right? So just let us know if you've already subscribed. Just go to that link. We will post videos more regularly in that channel. Okay. So Jean says, "Love this conversation. I'm learning so much." And Eva says, good evening. All right. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions for Francis, please put them in the comment section. This is your chance, guys. Francis is a how do I say this? Is an expensive speaker in the US. So, but now here you can ask Francis, and he'll answer it for free, pro bono for
Yeah,
us.
I won't send a PayPal link.
Yes, he won't bill you.
So now it's
Okay.
time to ask your questions, guys.
Yes, please do ask your questions. Compassionate Doctor says, I'm part of Thrivers. So we have this Thrive University. It's my online mentoring, group mentoring, and mastermind program wherein he's part of. So, Doc, thank you. All right. So, again, if you have questions, please do ask Francis. I have another question for
Oh,
Francis. So, Francis, you are known for speaking on about innovation and creativity,
mhm.
right? And in this global pandemic, a lot of things disrupted us. So especially the brick and mortar stores, wherein people are now afraid to go to those stores to
Yeah.
buy goods. And so what is your advice to entrepreneurs whose businesses were greatly disrupted by the global pandemic, applying innovation and creativity?
So, if you want to start on the journey towards innovation and creativity, the first thing you've got to disassemble is the fear. Because the reality is, again, like when this pandemic started, um, many businesses were plunged into a state of fear, right? Because what's going to happen to my business, etc. You got to, and the fear always erupts from the possibility of failure. The idea of what if my business fails or what my business closes, right? But
Yeah.
just like the Chinese word for crisis is the same word as opportunity. The same is true in our businesses. Whenever a crisis happens, it's a perfect opportunity. It's a perfect opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves, right? And and for me, that's where it starts. It starts with you identifying how has the way that you take care of your customers changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple question. It's a simple question. How has the way that you serve your customers? How has that changed? Right before, if the way that you'd serve your customer is that you had an open restaurant, people would come in and order food. How has
Got
that changed right now? Maybe
uh-huh.
it changed to the fact that people are now scared to go into a restaurant. So maybe you have to beef up your home delivery and takeout services.
Right.
Maybe you need to tie up with delivery services so that your food is brought to has a channel to be brought to people who can't go to your store. Maybe you need to space out the tables because maybe if you're going to reopen, you're going to need to space out tables because people are going to want to practice social distancing. It goes back into understanding how is your mission to serve your customer, how has it been altered by this pandemic. And it's important to also note you're not alone. This pandemic is one of those few historical moments which has disrupted the life of every human being. This is a shared collective experience of the world, right? Unlike other crises, let's say when a typhoon hits the Philippines, it only hits the Philippines and only the people in a certain city are affected. This pandemic has affected the entire world, which means consumers everywhere, your customers, are also evolving. So it starts off from that. How is my service to the people I'm supposed to take care of? How has that changed? And that is what you need to embrace. You need to be excited over that, over the possibility of change, rather than the effort it takes to pivot to the change. Because sometimes it's so easy to get bogged down that, oh my gosh, I have to change, I have to do this, do that, do that, do that. Instead of that mindset, shift the mindset into, oh my gosh, I get to do this. This is something new I get to do. I get to experiment on creating an online website for my business once and for all, right?
Right.
Look, use it as a way to pep you up, to perk you up. And that's how I would start.
Beautiful. We have questions here, Francis. But first, Jean, thank you for subscribing. Hey. So we have two questions here from Vince. What is now your greatest dream? And also from Jean, how can you be unapologetic in protecting yourself from friends who can break your dreams or who pull you down?
Okay, so first and foremost, let's answer the first question of Vince. So what is now your greatest dream? So for me, my greatest dream right now is to be known as the unapologetic speaker, to be able to help people through this process of creative destruction and creative reinvention and reconstruction. So that's my greatest dream right now. Let's be very transparent and very clear about that. I want to go back into that arena where I'm speaking in front of crowds of thousands of people, right? And as much as I'm very grateful for the benefit that online speaking has done to me, it's opened my world up. I'm able to speak to so many more people online. I still dream of that moment when I'm back on a stage, which I'm sure, Sha, you're kind of dreaming of as well, right? Because it's really the different experience. So that's my greatest dream. And I want to be able to help people unlock this spirit of creative destruction and creative reinvention, because many people have problems letting go. Many companies have problems letting go. And I want to be the voice of innovation in a new world, in this new economy that we're entering into in 2021. Now, to answer the second question of Jean Lim, how to be unapologetic in protecting yourself from friends who can break your dreams. It starts off with you learning to harness the power of no, which means
power of no, okay?
That I can't hang out with you. And I think, Jean, I don't know how old you are, but when you reach a certain age, which I'm afraid I've already reached, you tend to realize that disappointing other people isn't as bad as you betraying yourself. You know what I mean? So sometimes you need to disappoint people, which means if you don't want to hang out, it's not that you can't hang out, it's that you don't want to hang out with certain people, then don't hang out with them. Because, it starts off with that. You gotta cut off the toxicity from your life. If there are toxic people in your life and you choose to hang out with them, don't be surprised if you eventually wind up getting sick. You don't swim in poison, expect that you're gonna be so well. So don't be surprised. You're swimming in poison. Why do I feel bad? Well, there you go. So
that's so important.
So and one important thing I wanted to also share, Jean, is that we have to acknowledge that life isn't a popularity contest. We're not there to be liked by as many people as possible. We're actually there to also determine and discern for ourselves what are the relationships that are worth investing on, and really identify a couple of those relationships So, I have close intimate circles for my personal life. I have close intimate circles for my business life. I have close intimate circles for my religious life. And it's just really, when you're younger, you try to make the circle bigger, as big as you can, when you're younger. But when you're older, a phenomenon happens where suddenly that circle starts to shrink, right? Because you also realize that the best use of your energy is to also focus it on a small group of individuals. That's why for me as well, part of what I do as a speaker is I also empower other people to become coaches and mentors as well, because I know that I can't be the coach of everyone. As much as I'd like to do that, I really can't. But for me to be able to influence other people and help change the world for the better, it starts off with me letting go of the need to be the only one to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is deputizing, training, honing, coaching people to also learn to take care of other people. Because really, one thing I've discovered in church is that the big events are good to bring people in, but if you want to transform people, it happens on the grassroots. It starts off from small groups, small circles, small intimate relationships. It's hard to have an intimate relationship with a giant group. That's why you need a small group. That's why we have our mastermind group, because
Yes.
we're part of we're part of big organizations. We attend, you and I, we like investing in attending all these big learning experiences where there are like thousands of people present there. But ultimately, we know that the lessons that we learn from these classes happen when we find a small group to go. And look for those healthy groups. Stay away from the bad ones. Because remember, my mindset is that you have certain it's like I recently bought this very Filipino thing where you have all your condiments there. This lazy Susan where you have little bottles of condiments. I'm so domesticated because I don't want the Datu Puti vinegar bottle on my table. So I bought these nice condiment holders. And it has only X number of slots. So
Uh-huh.
there are like 6 slots there. So the idea is you also have to realize that you have bandwidth for X number of intimate relationships. So if you want to bring a new intimate relationship in, you got to figure out maybe something has to be let go of. You know what I mean? So there,
It's difficult. It's uncomfortable in the beginning. Sometimes you'll even feel guilty, but you'll get used to it
you
because,
get used to it. Yeah,
yeah, you'll get
true.
used to it. And it becomes more comfortable to do. So, Beneventure, okay, Pastor Bong says, good evening, Miss Cha and Sir Francis. Great and empowering topic. By the way, Pastor Bong was the one who created my waterfalls. I have a waterfalls, two waterfalls here in my
You
condo.
have a waterfall in your
Yes.
house.
So he
Amazing.
was the one who created it.
I
So
don't
if
have
there's
a waterfall in
waterfalls,
my house.
contact him. Okay. And then Compassionate Doctor says, morning routine is so good. So meron din pala morning routines, Sir Francis. Yes. So great people, successful people have their morning routines. I think we have one more question. Do you have time, Francis, for one more
Yes,
question?
of course, I have time.
All right.
We're here already.
Yep. So Bongo says, I'm in direct selling for 20 years. Now I want to be a motivational speaker. Should I talk about my direct selling experience or just be on motivational speaking? Thank you for the answer.
Well, Bong, at the end of the day, you have to identify for yourself how do you help the most amount of people. And in my experience, we're able to help the most amount of people based on our personal truth. So if direct selling is something that you're very very good at, in the words in the words of the Spice Girls, you gotta tell me what you really really want, right? So if
Tell
that's
me what you want, what you really, really want.
so if your experience about direct selling is something that you are better than most people in, then by all means talk about that, because there are people who want to get into the direct selling world. So that for me would be a good attack for you to go into, because we always go back to our personal truth. Our past, which means our past successes and our past failures, are ultimately what define what we are capable of helping. And we as speakers, as motivational speakers, we are most equipped. We are best equipped to take care of the people that we used to be. So in other words, as a motivational speaker
Yeah.
who specializes in direct selling, I'm sure at the beginning of your journey, you were not a good direct seller. You had to learn the ropes. There were so many mistakes that you encountered. That is equipping you to help somebody who is exactly in that state. They're just starting their direct selling journey. They're terrified by it. They might think that they're a failure at it. And that's where you come in, because you've already had the wisdom of passing through the peaks and the valleys of direct selling. So I would say that that's where you should go.
Yep. Well said, Francis. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's listening, who's tuning in right now, and who will also watch the replay. Again, please follow Francis on Facebook and also join his Facebook group. I think that's the most important
Yeah.
link that you can click right now.
Yeah.
Join his Facebook group because he's so active there. He posts videos regularly. You can actually chat with him there. You can post your question, and then even the members of the Unapologetic group can answer you as well. I'm in that group as well. And most of the members of our mastermind group is also in that group.
And Shah is also gonna guest in my show soon.
Yes.
He doesn't know yet, but now I'm announcing it to everyone.
But the answer is already yes. I don't know yet, but the answer is already yes. So, ganun ka kalakas sa akin, Francis. Okay. And also, please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are launching more videos. We are publishing more videos in the next few weeks. More videos on personal growth and gratitude. So please subscribe, and please say subscribed if you've already subscribed. We'd love to see you. And one last, so Doris said, thank you, Sha. It's always a blessing to learn from you and your guests. Thank you, Doris. I love your topic, very empowering. Bongo, sir, said, thank you, ma'am, sir. All right. Thank you, Bongo. And thank you, Francis. Any last words for our viewers tonight?
So we're ending 2020, and I'm sure a lot of you are grateful that it's about to end. I am. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm very grateful 2020 is about to end. And as we're entering 2021, I guess let's take this opportunity to really take a step back and figure out what truths about ourselves has the pandemic revealed to us. Because as we're moving into 2021, it would be a shame to waste a pandemic if we come out of it being exactly the same. So I want you guys who are listening right now to take a step back and try to see what has this pandemic taught you, and how can this pandemic change your life? Because let's face it, we've already gone through the difficulty, we've already gone through the challenge. What a waste if we don't make the most out of it. So that's something that I would tell you guys. Learn from the pandemic and change your life in 2021.
All right. Thank you, Francis. Thank you so much for your time and for waking up so early in the morning just to be able to join us. Again, guys, visit his Facebook account and join his Facebook group.
Thank you, Shah.
You're welcome. So that's Francis, and he's also an author. He's an author of 2 books. And if any one of you would like to write a book, we can help you through the 90-day book writing challenge. So one of the people who's watching right now is Doris Timailing. She just launched her book during the Manila International Book Fair. And if that's you, if you also have that still small voice that tells you you want to write a book, we can help you. We can help you through the 90-day book writing challenge. Just go to this link, shaanasino.com/write. And now I'd like to leave you with this video.
I know that the 90 book writing challenge is very, very helpful, not only to a person like me, but to other people as well who would love to write their own book, even if they're not a writer.
It brought me to a whole new world because it became a complete guide in writing a book. They will send you like module every week of what you have to accomplish. And then it teaches us discipline and focus that you have to write every day.
I'm so happy I enrolled because the lessons are structured. But the good thing about it is that you can access it anytime, anywhere. So I can do it after work, in a coffee shop, or anywhere I want.
Because of the book writing course, I understand how to conceptualize the topic, how to have the writing time, and also how to finish the chapter, where to look for publisher, for printer, editor, everything nandun po sa course na yun.
Many years ago, I would get so excited every time I launch a book. But now, what excites me is that when I see the graduates of the 90-Day Book Writing Challenge launch their books. What we're teaching at the 90-Day Book Writing Challenge is a system that works. No matter who you are, no matter what your background is, you are worthy to become an author. And you don't even need to be a writer in order to write a book.
Through writing, a story that is unique to only myself can be shared as a gift to other people for them to relate to learn from, and to be moved by.
When you write a book, it's like you talking to hundreds or thousands of people one at a time. So that person one-on-one, as if you are the friend of that person and you are journeying together. So to be able to touch one life, one soul, that's really a big blessing already.
I told myself, I think I need to share the journey that I had. Meron kang kwento na ikaw lang makakapag-share sa mga tao. And so I believed her.
It's probably one of the best decisions I've ever done because the 90-Day Book Writing Challenge has taught me discipline. Sabi nga ni Misha, if I'm able to touch even just one of you to get inspired and to maximize your life's potential, then I am truly, truly happy and have served my purpose.
Sana Sina is one of my answered prayers. The challenge dispelled my limiting beliefs. It helped me big time.
I am a proven proof na sinasabi ni siya na pag may book ka na, TV show will ask you to be your guest speakers.
You don't write a book because you want to become an author. You don't write a book because of money. You don't write a book because of fame. Those are consequences of writing a book. You write because there is a very important message that you need to share, and you feel that writing a book is one of the best ways.
Whatever it is that you would like to pursue, it is possible, it is doable. I am not telling you that it's easy, but I am telling everyone that it's worth it.
Just start, even when your hands are trembling or your knees are shaking. If you believe in something with all your heart, press start.
You got to define what you really want and then do something to make it happen. This is the biggest lesson I've learned from this book writing course.
Write because you care and you have a message to share.
It's about touching the lives of other people. It's about making a difference.
Thanks to Miss Shana Sino, who's very supportive. I love how her speaking voice guides me as if she was just here in every single writing journey I had.
And I believe that it is not only us authors here who have this ability to share our strength to the world. And so I encourage you to finally take that first step. Be part of the 90 Book Writing Challenge so that your voice will be heard as well.
We are creating a global community of authors. My dream is to help more people write and publish their books so that we can be a country that is known not just for movies, but we can be a country that is also known for producing the most number of beautiful, talented, gorgeous authors who make a difference in the world.